The Butte John Doe, identified as Michael Wayne, Canada. Two hikers north of Butte, Montana, near the tiny town of Walkersville, were walking their dog in 2012 when they found a garbage bag off to the side of the road. They decided to see what was inside, and inside were the legs of a man who'd passed away just a few days earlier. Investigators were able to tell there was a metal rod in one of the legs from some sort of an injury, and whoever had placed him in the bag had done so just a few days before he was discovered. They searched and searched the area, but they found no more remains. And because they only found part of him, no COD was even able to be determined. Not very often do I get to cover cases where I've been, although while I've been to Butte many times, I've never even heard of Walkerville. So I feel like just because I can, I need to paint a quick picture of the area, and it's a tiny town, which for Montana is obviously a pretty normal thing. We're an agricultural state, and we have a lot of small towns, and there's often a wide stretch of land between places. Butte is really interesting because, as you can see here, the Berkeley Pit is a big deal. The Berkeley Pit was a copper pit that operated from 1955 to 1982. It was actually an open mine rather than an underground mine. When the pit was closed, they turned the water pumps off and it started filling up with water. Rather than clean up the site, they just abandoned it. And as a result, there were a lot of mesothelioma cases in the area. It actually turned into a sort of toxic wasteland. Even birds in the area were being poisoned. But the crazy thing about this, and because it's kind of cool, I wanted to mention it, is they found over 142 organisms living inside the pit, and they were able to isolate 80 chemical compounds that exist nowhere else outside of this specific pit. And because of this, they believe the microbes that they found will at some point in the future be able to fight illness in others. It's now a super fun site that's being cleaned up, but from all the bad, something kind of cool happened. The town itself has a population of around 35,000 people, and the town nearby Walkerville had about 645 people living in it when he was found. This was just outside of town, only about 2 miles or 3 kilometers. The weird thing about this case, too, is that one portion of his body was still clothed, wearing Dickies brand white socks, jeans, and red wing hiking boots. But it wasn't obviously enough to go by, and they can't do a recreation. So as their hands were tied, it came down to DNA and Othram Labs, which finally gave this man his name back. Michael Wayne Canada was 46 when he went missing in 2010, which was about 2 years before his legs were found. They don't believe he'd been there that long, though, so where he was in those 2 years is not known. It's not clear exactly where he went missing from initially. They do know shortly before he went missing, he'd been working at a grocery store in Butte. And we know now that the pin found in his leg was due to a serious motorcycle accident that he was in. Michael himself is described as a drifter, and that was in part why his family had no idea where he was. Michael Wayne Canada was missing for 13 years, and an unidentified John Doe for 11. Had he lived, he'd be 59 years old today. The Clinton Jane Doe, identified as Carol Snider. Carol Snider was last seen in Richardson, Texas, on June 16, 1982. She was reported missing, and she had a profile listed on the Charlie Project that was made in 2004. And 1 year later, in 2005, they would update her profile with an age-progressed photo. The authorities at that time reported that they believed she had been taken against her will. In 2005, Carol would have been 43. Her family, over the years, held out hope that she'd be found. At the time, the young woman was 5'1" and 180 pounds, or 155 centimeters and 82 kilograms. I decided to flip this case and start with her disappearance because it highlights the reason some of these cases went unidentified. What Carol Snider's family did not know, and what authorities didn't match up, was that the remains of a woman were found 5 days after she went missing, and the postmortem interval was listed as 4 days to 2 weeks, meaning it was probably the day she went missing. However, they would report the person was mid-teens to 50 and 5'8". 7 inches, or about 18 centimeters, is a pretty big difference. And because of this mistake, her family would likely go 4 decades without answers. It doesn't help, of course, that she was found in Cordell, Oklahoma, and Richardson, Texas is about a 4-hour drive away. Maybe even without the mistake, she would have gone unidentified because of the difference in location. But then again, as I said, she was put in on the Charlie Project, and she had been there for a long time. Her remains were entered into NamUs in 2009, which was after her missing person report was entered into the database. So maybe with the correct height, it was unlikely it would be matched in 1981, but much more likely 14 years ago when the NamUs profile went up. So these mistakes do matter. Her COD is a gunshot wound. Whoever did this is still out there, so somebody needs to come forward in this case to give information about what was going on at the time. Carol Sue Snider went unidentified for 41 years. Had she lived the life she deserved, she would be 62 years old today. The Hartford John Doe, identified as Francis Patrick Fitzpatrick. This case begins in November of 1983 in Hartford County, Connecticut. It was here that a person was found near the river in Great Meadows, which is a salt marsh that is located along the coast of Connecticut. They estimated him to be white and between the ages of 30 and 60. He'd likely been there for several months, but even that estimate was hard to make due to the weather. They also had a difficult time concluding what his COD was. With him were 3 General Motors keys, a Sanyo brand digital watch that had a silver stretch band, a tan wool jacket, a blue shirt, tan pants, and shoes that were described as loafers. Then a person came into the picture that likely fits well along those of us who are interested in these particular cases, sometimes referred to as armchair detectives who try to match up missing people with Jane and John Doe cases. It takes a lot of patience, and I've tried this, and I discovered I'm not good at it. But the amazing thing is others are, and cases have been solved because of this. Random strangers who care, and they come up with the correct matching combination. And in this case, enter Jean Aote. She would describe herself as a true crime fan, and she had a habit of spending weekends poring over police files and message boards in hopes of solving a case. Jean had attended multiple CrimeCon conventions. At one of them, she lost a bid at a chance for a private CSI tour at Othram Labs. She decided she wasn't going to miss it again, and in this case, she bid $3,000 for a private tour, and she won. She loved the tour, and this would just increase her interest in genetic genealogy and all of the good that it can do. She works as a real estate paralegal, and she would use her own funds to donate the $7,000, in this case, needed for DNA and genetic genealogy. Because of her, as well as the magic of Othram Labs, we now know that Francis Patrick Fitzpatrick was 43 when he was last seen by his family in Springfield, Massachusetts, and this was in 1983. This means he would have been 44 when he passed away. It was the DNA of his son that would eventually provide the match that brought his dad home, ending nearly 4 decades of a mystery his family had been trying to solve. The medical examiner had ruled that Francis took his own life. If anyone's feeling hopeless in the United States, the helpline to call is 988. It will connect the person to the closest local chapter. There is no shame in feeling hopeless, and there is someone available to speak to if you need to reach out. Francis Patrick Fitzpatrick has gone unidentified for 39 years. Had he lived, he would be 83 years old today. Huge thanks for watching all the way to the end, and a big thanks to all of you who consistently like and comment on the videos. Whether you leave a full comment or an emoji, it makes a huge difference. So if you consistently watch my videos, maybe take a moment to subscribe. It's a huge push toward the videos being suggested to new people. The next goal is 20,000. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care of yourselves and each other.